Hello, welcome back to Game Set Match. We're at another episode, but it's a little bit of a deja vu. We don't have Holden TSF here. I am Inako, but this time we still once again have our good friend Chris F. As you remember, one of the leading Street Fighter 6 and City of the Wolves content creators, also does a lot of tech and stuff and has done some IRL stuff in Japan as well. Chris F., thank you for joining us once again. What are some of the things that you feel like FGC visitors to Japan should do aside, from the obvious trips to like Akihabara or like the Nakano shopping arcade that is so prevalent within like the anime cosplay, like we subculture?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think the first mistake they make is they spend a little bit too much time just in Tokyo. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
Japan is a small country, but each city has its own unique kind of feel to it. And I'm a little biased because I don't live in Tokyo. I've always lived in either Kyoto for like the first couple months or like for the last several years in Osaka. So I say come to Kansai, come to Osaka. There's so much good food, and the nice thing about Osaka is you're like a 30 to 40 minute train ride from Kyoto, Kobe, and Nara. Like three
Mm-hmm.
really how I say famous big some of the biggest cities, and Nagoya is like an hour and a half away. So you're within easy traveling distance with a bunch of different cities. They all have their own unique vibe. So go there, check it out. And then another thing that I really recommend every person should do, it's not everyone's thing, but if you can go to like an onsen town, like like the onsen, like the hot springs,
Mm-hmm.
go to an onsen town, book a night, at least one night, right? Because you might not like it if you've never been, but book one night, go there, hop in the water, just chill. You go in the water, you get out, you shower down, you get your towel and stuff. Then you get like the hot, you get like the cold milk. It's like a thing. You just drink like cold milk after the onsen, and I don't know, it's just really cool. It's like the most relaxing, peaceful thing ever, and it's a really good way to like de-stress because when you travel, you build up a lot of like how are they not like stress, like mental stress, but like physical stress. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get your bags and everything. So going on those things, super good, pretty unique to Japan. So definitely check that out. Don't just spend all your time at the arcade, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun. Go to the arcade, but you got to kind of mix it up a bit. Eat some food you've never had before. Go try something you've never tried before. See a bunch of different cities. Whatever you're into, but don't just stay in Tokyo the whole time. Japan is not Tokyo.
Oh, I totally agree because I remember like the majority of our time was spent in Tokyo, and then we flew to Fukuoka for Evo Japan. But the vibe of both cities were just so different compared to what I would have ever expected. And then like the food was just absolutely out of this world in both, but it was also very different. So we've actually talked about food before. Like we already did like the ramen pizza thing last time. But what are some of the slept on Japanese foods that you feel like tourists need to know about now?
Oh, that's hard. This is gonna sound really basic and really simple, but you have to have like a good bowl of udon, like made by
Mm,
hand at like a smaller local shop. It's totally different. And I think one thing a lot of people don't know is like the soup broth, like the base that they use in Tokyo is a different base than they use in Osaka and Kyoto. So if you can, try to get like a bowl of udon soup in Tokyo, and then try to get one in Kansai, which would be like Kyoto, Osaka, Nara, Kobe, because the flavor is different. And then compare. Personally, again, I'm biased. I prefer the flavor here in Osaka compared to Tokyo. I don't
mm-hmm.
like it too much in Tokyo, but try it out. It's really basic. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's not more than like $5. But if you get a nice bowl, it tastes really good. And I don't hear many people talking about like different soup broth flavors based on the region in Japan. So
Yeah.
try that out. That's my advice.
Oh yeah, like I hadn't thought about that with udon, but like definitely with ramen because like the Tokyo flavors were far different from Fukuoka, and then like in Toronto they have the Santoka that does the Hokkaido style. It's so vastly different that like yeah, like if you think it's like I would agree. If you think it's one thing across the country, you're completely off base.
Hmm.
So yeah, back on food. Like let's see how let's see how um epicurious you've been, have you ever tried the horse sashimi in Japan?
Yeah, I have actually. There was a during one of the KOF after parties, like way back when I was living in Kyoto. We went to like a specialty like horse sashimi place. It was all
Mm.
right. I mean, I'm the kind of person is like as long as I know it's like prepared clean, it's like a good restaurant, I'll pretty much try almost anything for the most part. But I mean, I don't think it's one of those things you gotta eat. Like it was all right. I wouldn't give it like more than like a 6 out of 10 in terms of flavor. It is all right.
That's fair. Like I had it.
Happy I got to try it.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
had it. I loved it, but like I think it's to each his own. You know,
Mm-mm.
it's a good one. No, but it's something that I guarantee you, like foreigners have seen on a menu in Japan and been like, no, not happening.
True. One thing I would say though, I know people kind of get hype over the raw chicken in Japan. Just don't do it, man. Don't do the raw chicken thing. It's not worth it.
I don't think
I've
it.
I've seen I've seen many a brave soldier go down from that. So just please don't. It doesn't even
Yeah,
taste good. It doesn't even taste good. Don't do it.
yeah. It doesn't even sound appetizing to me, so I think
No.
we could skip that one easily. Okay, we're gonna move into this segment, the same segment as always. Explain that shit, where we're
Hmm.
gonna take a look at your X usage and
I always look
roast
forward to
you.
this one.
So our first one was a quote retweet from PlayStation that you posted, detailing their new arcade stick, the Project Defiant, where you said no way they're releasing an 8-button boomer box in 2025.
Dude, man, okay. I mean, I don't live in North America anymore, so I don't know what like the general trend is for people. But when I watch tournaments, I see a lot of, especially younger people, like anybody
Mm-hmm.
like in like their late teens to like mid 20s. Just from what I see on stream and the people playing, I see a lot of pads, both
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation and Xbox, and like third-party pads, and I see lots of leverlesses. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see too many young people like pulling up with an arcade stick,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not that I don't think arcade sticks with like a lever are like for boomers because I mean some people like different things. I think in like modern fighting games, having only 8 buttons is what makes it a boomer box. Because like
Yeah.
Street Fighter is generally considered now to be just good practice to have more than 8 buttons on your controller, like a separate button for DI or a separate button for parry, just because you don't have to use your pinky and just faster access with your thumb. What else is it? City of the Wolves kind of works on 8 buttons, but I mean, it feels a lot more ergonomically friendly if you have an extra one just for like, what do you call it? Break or feints.
Mm-hmm.
And then other games. What's another game that just? Oh yeah, 2XKO. 2XKO does not feel good on an 8 button controller. There are too many different button macros and things that having extra buttons really helps it feel good. And I don't know. I feel like so many modern games are kind of designed for pad, and the ergonomics of having your fingers accessible to every single button at the same time is kind of what makes pads strong in modern games, and that's what this controller doesn't have. So, I mean, if you're releasing an 8 button controller with a stick in 2025, like I don't know who this is marketed to because I feel like anybody in the fighting game community already has an arcade stick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need another one. I think people who have arcade sticks, you buy one and like that's pretty much it. Unless you're a
Mm-hmm.
collector, but that's a small percentage of the community. But generally you buy one as long as you don't break it. Like you don't buy another one. I've bought 2 arcade sticks in my life, and I've been in the
Right.
fighting game community for like 13 years, right? And I only bought an extra one because I moved to Japan and I didn't bring my old one with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, you got one, you don't need another one. Then I mean, like, who's this? So who's gonna buy an 8 button PlayStation branded controller? Just like I think it's just like boomers, like guys like older than like 40 who call it Hadouken and just do like wake up Hadouken every time you knock them down. It's just that's it.
Yeah.
I
See,
don't know.
and the funniest part for me is like when I started out on leverless, like I built like the basic one, like uh, it was just the basic 8 action button, hitbox layout. And even before that, like I had someone 3D print the case for me and asked for an 8 button layout. Still prints off the 6 button layout.
Hmm.
And this was in 2022 where he said you don't need any more than 6 buttons. So the idea of we need more now, given the complexity of the mechanics nowadays, is not lost on me. But like, do you
Mhm.
feel like older players that have started to transition from like older Street Fighters, maybe venturing into Street Fighter 6 or like City of the Wolves, do you feel like they're handicapping themselves by staying hardcore within like the 6 to 8 button layout?
Yeah, I think they're handicapping themselves. I mean, again, it all depends on you, but like you don't know what's going to happen with games. And so far the trend has been towards games like having more buttons is better. So it's if you're making a new product, you want to kind of like future proof it, right? So why would you make 8 buttons when you can easily add a ninth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I mean, in terms of a production cost, like it costs you like what, like how many cents to put a button in a controller, like on a production level? Just make another one. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see the point. I don't see why. Just do it.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, I totally agree there. Um, yeah. And the next one was a tweet where you go hot tape, but maybe the reason Street Fighter 6 does so well in Japan is because the top players have fun and laugh on stream, show that playing is fun, accept Street Fighter 6 for what it is, and avoid starting the throw loop discourse again for the 5,000th time. What do you think causes this disconnect between like the Western and Japanese audiences? Both have the same level of access to social media as each other, but there's such a divide in the way both cultures view the game holistically. What do you think causes that?
There are a lot of reasons. I'm gonna do two, and I'm gonna just give you a quick heads up. I'm really pessimistic about stuff in general, so
Mm-hmm.
let me just explain this as best I can. Number one, not just Japan but Asia in general, they have more of like a group think mentality versus like the Western world. So they tend to put the how can I say the greater good of everyone above their own personal feelings. So they won't really get on Twitter and say like this game is ass, this game sucks, I can't believe throw loops are still in the game because they're gonna think, oh, well, what about the people who enjoy this game? I don't want to put it down because of that. Now, your average like regular player, like your online warrior kind of thing, someone who doesn't really have a name in the FGC, will say what they think. Absolutely, it's not like nobody in Japan ever says bad about stuff ever. No, that's very not true. People do talk shit about the game, but I mean like people who are recognizable faces and like big names in the community, like top players who get results, like top streamers who are like streaming all the time. You know the guys like Mago, Dogura,
Mm-hmm.
Taquito, Daigo, those guys who have like a really big platform. They won't do it. I think another thing that separates kind of like the top streamers and players in Japan versus the Western world, I think they're really good at business and branding. And I think they realize that I, at the end of the day, like again, to be pessimistic, if there are more people playing the game, they get more sponsorship opportunities. And if there are more sponsorship opportunities, there are more tournaments, there's more things for them to do, and they can just keep on running their game, running their content, doing their thing, going to tournaments, and like basically make money off playing fighting games and being a pro gamer. So at the end of the day, their main goal is to foster a community and to keep people in. And in order to get people into the game, you can't be constantly talking bad about things and being like, man, I can't believe throw loops are still in this game is ass, and like making tweets like 2 weeks after the game drops and they're just doing like throw loop memes like
Mm-hmm.
after the new patch, right? Like we've said that throw loops need to go. People don't like it, at least in the Western fighting game community, and some people in the Eastern community too. We've voiced that concern. Nothing has changed, and I think now, since nothing has changed, I think at this point it's got to be okay. It's season 3. We've been complaining about this for a long time. It still hasn't changed. Let's move on. It's not
Mm-hmm.
changing, right? There comes a point, like, I'm not saying don't voice your frustrations. It's important to say what you want to improve. But I think at a certain point, you have to realize, okay, they're not listening. This isn't going to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Tekken 8. Like, a lot of people are like, remove heat. Heat's not going anywhere, right?
That's a core
It's in the
mechanic.
game. It's a base mechanic. They might nerf it a little bit, but they're not taking it out of the game. Like, I've even seen some people for Street Fighter, like, take out Drive Rush. And they're not taking out Drive Rush, right? Like, that's not happening, right? So you have to be realistic too. And I think once you kind of understand, okay, this isn't changing, instead of complaining all the time, like I think the people here in Japan, they realize, okay, well, this is the game we have. it might not be what I really want from it, but this is what we have now. How can we get more people playing and how can we support? Because what's the other option? It's either just quit because you don't like it, or if you're going to commit to playing it, I think they realize that you can't commit to playing something and just complain the whole time because that's pretty contradictory. You have to, if you're going to play it, you know, put your best foot forward, show that you're in just accepting it for what it is and enjoying the game that you have rather than wishing for something else the whole time while just complaining about what you have in front of you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And it actually brings me back to a conversation I was having with Holden TSF yesterday, where we were going back into the history of like Street Fighter, and we were talking about Street Fighter 4 actually, where I like Street Fighter 5 had throw loops throughout its lifespan. So does Street Fighter 6, but trying to figure out what the genesis of that could have been. We had Street Fighter 4, where yeah, you had throws, but they were so neutered basically because you had so many ways to evade them. You could backdash, you had crouch tech, you had throw tech OSs, but where it was almost useless to even press the throw button, but now it's much more useful to push it, but now people are upset that throws are back in. But then you go back even further, you have like Street Fighter 2 where throws were almost guaranteed, or you could just tick throw someone to death for the entire round. Do you feel like all of this is in response to try and find a happy medium between the uselessness of throws in Street Fighter 4 and the over usefulness of throws in like the Street Fighter 2 era?
I think my thing with throws and throw loops in Street Fighter 6, I might get a lot of hate for this, but I'm just gonna say it anyways, because whatever, fuck it. What are throw loops really? It's really strong oki mix, right? And you gotta guess. You go back to like old games, not even Street Fighter, like older games. You go to like Guilty Gear, Zato. Zato could do like unblockable setups, but people watch those clips and they get mad hype, like, oh, look at this unblockable Zato clip. He got like a perfect. The thing with that though, it's really hard to do. You have to practice it. And even Street Fighter 4, it had hard to blockables. It had like really difficult option selects. Like you could like backdash wasn't vulnerable, but you know you could do like jab and push like jab plus sweep at the same time. And if they backdash, you'd get a sweep. There were like all the different option selects you could do, but they were not necessarily difficult. But you had to actually like understand the game and you had to practice them. You couldn't just do those things. Like it's not obvious. You had to practice them. But throw loops, anybody can do them. You don't have to practice them. So it kind of reduces the gap between the players who had to like get really sweaty to shut down all of your gameplay versus now everybody can do it. And I think that's what's pissing people off, because now they're like, why am I losing to someone worse than me? Because you think they're worse than you, but all they did was like lower the barrier of entry to do strong set play. So I think that's what gets everybody twisted. And I think that's why everyone's getting mad, because now it doesn't take like technical skill to apply a strong mix up. So now everybody's doing it. And now it makes you feel like you're losing to like quote unquote bad players, even though they're not as bad as you think.
Nope, that makes a lot of sense, because I do remember the amount of lab work that goes into getting that kind of oki set up in 4, but now it's just vastly
It's easy.
easier. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You learn your frame kill, you're done. Boom, easy.
And now for our community question, it comes from CNQ12 again. This time he asks, when are you coming back to Toronto to visit?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. It's rough right now. Summer is usually like one of the more expensive times to come, and then also like the yen is doing pretty rough right now in terms of prices, so it's incredibly expensive to come back. Plus, you know, I'm busy. Work is kind of ramping up, both my own like content creation stuff and just my regular job. So I'll come when I can, but just right now I don't have an answer, unfortunately. Sorry, dude.
No, that makes sense. I totally yeah, for people that don't know, like it can be a grind just to make it out of Asia once you are there. Like, love it while you're there, but then when you're homesick, it is a grind.
Yeah, plus I mean it's a long flight. It's like 14 hours, and then I need like 2 or 3 days to kind of relax. Then I don't get to do any streaming or any content. Then I lose money.
Yep.
So it's not just the price of everything, it's just also me having to take time off work and everything. So when I can come, I'll come. But I
Yep.
want to come back. It's not that I don't want to, but I came back last summer. But coming back every single year gets pretty expensive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I totally get that. All right, and our last question is we we've always seen like a massive divide between like Asian and Western players in fighting games. Like, however, in recent memory, that gap has been narrowed. Street Fighter V consistently had Western players be more dominant, but even in Street Fighter 6, Mina RD won Evo Japan back to back years. Then Punk and Angry Bird won Evo Vegas with Big Bird and Mina RD as runners up, respectively, for those years. However, Capcom Cup has been dominated by Asian players in both years of Street Fighter 6. Uma in 2024 from Taiwan, and Kakeru in 2025 from Japan. And then additionally, Street SNK games are dominated by three countries, really: Japan, Taiwan, and China. Tekken is dominated by Korea and Pakistan, both Asian countries. Now, being a Canadian who has lived in Japan for an extended period, what do you think is one of the overlooked pieces of knowledge or gameplay aspects that continue to keep these gaps in place between the Western and the Asian players?
I'm not sure about overlooked, but I think it's really important to understand just how important proximity to other players is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think it's mostly a geographical issue. I don't think Japanese players are better than other players. I don't think like I don't know. I don't necessarily think like they're better than Punk or better than Mena. It's just that there are more almost as good as Punk or almost as good as Daigo players in Japan than there are in other countries. And they're all living within Tokyo or very close in a nearby city. So having access to all those almost top 8 players and having access to a very large player base is what makes a huge difference. Like if I load up Street Fighter 6, you can find 1700, 1800, 1900 MR matches in seconds at like 4 a.m. on a Wednesday because the player base is so huge. Meanwhile, if you were in North America, you might avoid ranked altogether at that time because you don't want to match up with somebody 1400. You lose a match, you lose like 50 MR just because of that, right? It happens. So
Mm-hmm.
just because there are more people, there are more really, really, really good players in the countries that you mentioned than there are in other countries. It's just a volume. It's just a volume thing. You have access to more players. You can practice more. You get more matchups. You know, the more people playing the game, like the more high level people playing the game, the more people playing different characters you're gonna have. You have different matchup experience, and you can get lots of different play styles. So just being in close proximity to everybody, I think that's what makes the big difference. Also, one other thing that I think is really big, and this doesn't go for everybody because some people do it at their locals, but just in Eastern Asia, for the most part, like Japan, I don't know about China and Korea because I never lived there, so I don't want to say things that aren't true. But at least in Japan, there's a really, really big like culture of like the mentor and the student. It's like the older person, like the senpai gohai thing. So they take time out of their day to help new people, and they understand the importance of having to foster like new talent for getting good at the game. And that's not exclusive to fighting games. That goes for absolutely any field in Japan, whether it be like cooking, sports, art. There's that very, very strong culture of mentorship. And I think people are just accustomed to teaching new players, and it really, really works in a fighting game sense.
That's a good point. And yeah, um not as sure about China, but I do know in like Korea that is a thing. Um like back in the day, like Infiltration was mentored by Laugh, and then became the dominant figure he was for the time he was able to compete. And yeah, so I think that that's a very important aspect that I don't see a lot in the Western scenes now. Like, you don't see that many people bring someone up under the wing. It's kind of like a uh, grab what I can while everyone is not knowledgeable mentality here versus Japan is like Japan and Korea is like we're doing this so that the rest of the scene can improve as well.
Yeah, and I guarantee, I mean, I don't know, I've never been there. I guarantee you the exact same thing happened in Pakistan with their Tekken scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like these guys aren't just rolling up to the arcades and being like sick Tekken players day one. It's the old heads taking the new guys under their wing and putting them through the grinder and getting them good. I guarantee you that's what happened there too. So that's the one common pattern we see in all those scenes that tend to dominate like top 32s around the world. Yes, there are good players in other regions, but if you look at like the flags amongst like different fighting games, you'll notice the same countries popping up, and I think it's because of that mentorship culture that they have.
Totally agree. And another thing that I do notice, like, uh, nowadays, especially like in Street Fighter, because that's primarily what I watch. But and you did mention this in City of the Wolves as well, with the SNK culture as well. But you see a lot more, I would say, top tier picks in Asia, where people are like using like the same characters overall because they know they're strong. They know the kit works within the game. And you might see some like differences, like Itazan continually using Zangief no matter how good or bad he is. You see Koji Kog right now playing with Lily.
Lily, right?
Yep. And yeah, and you'll see the rare Manon pop up here and there, but what do you think that the view of tier lists and how they dictate who and how they play comes into any effect? Whereas here you might see a lot more, a wilder variety of characters.
I think people here tend to just gravitate towards who's generally considered to be the top tier, and it really depends on the scene. But I think people in Asia, especially, they just kind of say, "Let's just play the best character. Let's just forget about who I want to play, and let's just play who is the best." I mean, I think in like the Western scene, there's a little bit more of that. I want to play the character that I think is cool. There's a little bit more passion, or like love for the character in that way. Meanwhile, in Asia, they'll just play like, okay, just tell me who's the top tier, and I'm going to use them right now. I think there's just a different mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember like the heyday of like Tokido entering everything. It was always just like, what's the most busted thing I can do to get good at this game fast, and then he would just do it. So yeah.
I think it's a smart way to play, but I mean, it also depends on your personality too. If you're playing a character that you absolutely hate, that's top tier, you're not going to be motivated. So unless you're one of those incredibly talented people that can pick up games really quickly, I don't think it's really an effective strategy for most people. I wouldn't say pick a low tier, but just because the character's super high tier doesn't mean they kind of match with you. So it's not like guaranteed results.
Yeah. So would so for someone like Itazan that's so close to the top, even with like Zangief, do you feel like there's a point where he has to be like, should I pick up a pocket character that maybe is higher tier, or is this kind of like a, no, it's working for you, keep going?
Well, I mean that's actually a really tricky question because I don't think it's super simple because like part of Itazan's brand isn't like, I don't know, when you ask people like who's the best Street Fighter player of all time, and no disrespect, I don't think Itazan's name comes up. He's a
No.
really, really good Street Fighter player. He's consistently like a top player, but who is the best? I don't think his name comes into the conversation. And his brand is kind of like Zangief, right?
Hmm.
When you tune into his stream, you know you're gonna watch grapplers. You know you're gonna see some sick grappling shit, right? So it's part of his branding. So I
Hmm.
think switching to a top tier would actually kind of hurt him more. It might help him as a competitor if that's what he wants to focus on, but if in terms of his branding, it's kind of part of his identity. So I'm not sure if he would want to move away from that. Plus, Zangief up until this batch was like super high tier, so he didn't really have
Hmm.
a point of switching off. He got nerfed a little bit this time. We'll see how he does in tournaments, but Zangief isn't bad, not at all. I don't think it's time to find a new main category of nerfs.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we're moving into segment 3, the seg play, where Chris F will teach one of our up and comers a little bit more about Street Fighter 6. And joining us today is a recent addition to our WIF City lineup. He's been making some waves, did some amazing stuff, making top 8 with Ryu at WIF City May. I'd like to welcome all the way from Niagara Falls, Captain Wilbo. Thank you for joining me.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
All right, so Wilbo, you've lined up a set you wanted Chris to talk about. Do you want to give us a setup of it before we start?
Absolutely. So this is a set that I ultimately didn't win. I've actually been doing a lot of work with C&Q in our local scene Trying to work more on my decision making and strategy. That seems to be kind of what's really holding me back in the what does he call it? Not the swamps or the gutters, but the pits of Master. So this is against a Manon, which I thought would be interesting with the conversation of low tier and high tier, because she is a low tier character, but even playing Ryu, I couldn't win the set. So it'll be interesting to see what went wrong. I think I have a couple of ideas, but we'll see.
All right, cool. So I'm going to take a look at this. This is top tier Ryu versus low-ish, much lower tier Manon. Let's take a look at this replay, see what we can kind of find. So I think the most important thing when you're watching replays is always asking yourself, why did I win or why did I lose? So this is a loss, so we're going to have to check it out. So let's do some spacing stuff here. This Manon's pushing lots of buttons, going for that. Let's check there. Not quite sure about a drive impact mid-screen as a block string. That might have been a missed input, I'm not sure. But if it wasn't, I wouldn't really go for that mid-screen. Then yeah, against Manon, a lot of like kind of unhinged Manon players will do that low sweep, quarter circle back leg kick mid-screen. So when you're walking back and forth, it's always really important to like take a little step forward, hit down back, because they'll try to catch you if they get a bit of a pattern on your walk timing. Okay, then the command grab. And then the risky DP, but I mean, you have to make a guess there. So one thing I'm noticing right now is like against Manon, like everyone says she's low tier, but she has really good buttons. And you know, a couple wrong guesses, couple wrong mixes, you eat a couple command grabs, things go really bad. So I think the important thing in this matchup is to not let her get into you really easily. So not letting her get into your space, not being the one pushing buttons, because she has good buttons, especially up close. She can mix you up really easily, stuff like this. So if you're playing Ryu, someone with a fireball, she struggles pretty heavily against fireball characters. So you kind of want to play neutral, keep her out, and you want to make sure that you're the one on the offensive, like kind of attacking her, because she doesn't have a reversal without super, she doesn't have anything like that. So what I just see here is you letting the Manon player just be a little bit too aggressive, too much in your face. It's better just to hold block, get her out of your get her out of your face, take those block strings, and then when you have an opportunity, use your better buttons, like crouching medium punch, standing light kick, all those things, and use fireball to keep her out and not let her be the one dictating the pace of the match, like right from the start. So let's watch this. Let's watch the second match, and let's see if there's any big change, because you win 2 in a row here. Let's see how you kind of approach your neutral. Alright, so yeah, so I would say like instead of doing stuff like donkey kick right in the beginning, try to do kind of like a fireball game, see how this person plays against fireballs, because so far you haven't been doing like any kind of like mid-screen fireballs or anything like that. There we go, there's a punish, good. Carry to the corner, run your set play, what is it? Standing light kick on after that's pretty weak. You don't really get plus frames off of that. So here, applying the mix with the Shogeki, go for the jab. So I just see some issues with pressure. Your pressure seems a little bit sloppy. Like you made a really good call with the heavy Shogeki to get your plus frames, but then you just do like a single light punch. So even if you hit them, you can't hit confirm a single light punch. So you want to make sure that you're always doing stuff that leads into something. Good neutral jump there against the drive impact, getting the throw for the punish. Let's see how the second round goes. Drive rush in. Okay. Good back throw. Yeah, see, like right there, you're letting your opponent get out of the corner way too easily. So you kind of got to like either throw a fireball or do some good standing pokes, like standing hard punch. Don't let her in. Then here, instead of like dashing forward all the time, I kind of want to just see you force the Manon player to get in. And then let's see what your string is here. Yeah, you're committing too hard after your plus frames, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're getting a fireball game going. Nice. Okay, nice read on the sweep there. Go for max damage. Okay, getting good damage here. She's in burnout. Has level 3 though, so you gotta like not really pressure too much here. What's she gonna go for? Okay. Boom. That should be wall splat. Nice. Good. Yeah, so much better. Just much better at applying the pressure. The big difference between this match and the last one was that you were the one kind of pushing the buttons in her face most of the time. You were the one setting the pressure. It wasn't her. So that's probably why you won this one. But then the third one here, I'm going to guess the same thing happens as the first round. Because now it's double win from her.
Pretty similar. I've noticed that my my pressure definitely lessens when I'm unsure. I'll tend to just kind of back off, and I got to be a little bit more confident, a little bit more aggressive, not aggressive, but confident.
Okay, fireball game, then you drive rush in right away. Yeah, it's like drive rush, standing, medium kick. I mean, on block, you don't really get too much. I think what you really got to focus on is always putting your opponent into like a mix situation. You're not really mixing them when you get your plus frame. So either being in range to do like strike, throw, shimmy, or at least in a range where you can like kind of strike, not strike throw, sorry, space trap them is really good. So here you get them in the corner, good. I want to see you do, against players at this level, I want to see you do like auto-timed throw loops in the corner. So you did throw, you can just whip a standing jab, and then after that standing jab, you can either do an immediate throw to beat blocking, immediate standing medium punch to beat masher, or you can just like backdash to avoid a quick throw, or just do a delayed button to beat their delayed tech. No whiff punish there, that's a big one.
Yep.
Okay, here. Drive rush in. Yeah, also you at that range you don't want to like drive rush in with I can't remember what you drive rush in there with, but you want to drive in with like standing like jab. This way at least you get your +3 frames. And there, kind of mistiming your meaty, and then you got beat for that. Now you gotta watch out for the DI here. Boom, nice. Did you jump? No. Yeah, so against grapplers with level 3, Manon you can actually, like, I mean, she's got the level 2, so she can beat jumpers, but you kind of, at that kind of a situation when you're in burnout at under half health, you don't really want to be applying like Oki pressure when you knock her down, because basically anything she does, you lose. Like if you just block, she can wake up with level 3. If you jump, she can wake up with level 2. So it's kind of like how you're applying your pressure. So I think what I want to see you start to do is just take a look at your pressure sequences.
Sure.
Especially like your drive rush options, and like really just thinking about how can I take a turn and how can I enforce strike, throw, shimmy.
Sure. Kind of keeping it always in my favor.
Yeah, I think it's not the drive rushing in that's bad. It's the buttons you're going in with, and then also what you're doing afterwards. You should always be doing stuff where you can either, again, apply strike, throw, shimmy, or do something that lets you react like a 2-hit confirm, or sometimes even a 3-hit confirm, but then you kind of lose all your pressure if they block it. But doing that, and then, okay, I got my 2-hit confirm, what combo am I going to go into? Boom. One other thing I noticed you do a lot, you end with medium kick tatsu quite a bit. Medium kick tatsu is good when you can put them in the corner. But mid-screen is better just go for the light kick tatsu, because then you can just dash forward, light Hashogeki, dash forward, walk forward, throw. It's much easier to set up your stuff there. If you're doing medium tatsu mid-screen, you have to drive rush after to apply pressure.
Gotcha. Now with the new, I'm not at the level of, someone like you, obviously. I know that heavy DP just got its Oki changed up. Is it better to go for that versus light tatsu now? Or is light tatsu still like the Oki ender?
I haven't played Ryu since the patch, so I don't know exactly how it's changed. But just from guessing, because knowing the way it worked, mid screen you should usually end with light tatsu. In the corner you get better Oki setups after heavy DP. But mid screen light tatsu is generally your best ender after like light attacks, sometimes even medium attacks.
Cool.
So yeah, just that. I mean, obviously you know how to combo, you know how to do things with your character. You didn't have like any dropped combos other than like hit confirms, so that looked pretty good. I would just think, how are you approaching the match, and then also, how can I say, being able to slow it down a little bit. That was pretty like balls to the wall, start to finish, and really offensive from both of you. So just trying to learn how to slow down the pace of the match a little bit, I think will help you out a lot.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, and that ends the set play. A lot of good information shared there, don't you think? I think that was a lot of stuff that you can work on going
absolutely
forward. Yeah,
100%. Yep, all really good advice, all stuff I know I got to work on. Like I said, been working with CNQ in the community. It's got me to the point that I'm at now. Not like he hasn't said a couple of these things too. It's just bad habits, old brain. But I think next time it'll go a lot better. We'll have some better.
No, I definitely understand the old brain stuff, because I do. Because a lot of that I'm sitting there like, I do that too. This is bad, isn't it?
Taking notes.
Yes. Like, Wilbo, is there anywhere on social media that we can reach you for the folks at home watching?
I'm really not on the social media a whole heck of a lot. I am on Twitch. I couldn't tell you what my handle is off the top of my head, so I'll have to send you a link to add in later. But that's about the only place that you'll find me other than in person walking the streets
of Niagara.
That's right.
And Chris, let's remind everybody where they can find you on the internets.
Yeah, you can find me just generally Chris_F in most places. On Twitter, it's going to be Chris_F_22. But my main thing is going to be YouTube and Twitch. And YouTube is going to be at Chris_F. And Twitch is ChrisF_22. Sorry for all the different underscores and everything, but I'm competing with all the other Chris's out there, so doing what I can.
Battle of the Chris's, for sure. We need a battle between all the Chris's to rule them all.
Exactly.
All right, and that concludes Game Set Match for today. Once again, I'm Nako, and thank you all for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.